Apparently, he's asking about following the Hanafi madhab and in things that may go against the sunnah. And he says, would I be losing the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, the mercy of Allah, because I'm not abiding by the sunnah, or I'm not following other schools of thought that follow the sunnah in this particular issue? Because he heard from his scholars that this is not permissible. He has to stick to his madhab. And I think he mentioned something about the timings of Dhuhr and Asr prayer and maybe Fajr prayer, as we know that there is a difference between Fajr and Asr in the Hanafi madhab than the rest of the madhabs. So in a nutshell, we as Muslims are ordered to follow the Prophet ﷺ. Now, this requires that you have knowledge of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and whether it is authentic or not. And you have to know whether it is abrogated or not. So this requires that you may have to have some knowledge of the fundamentals of fiqh, usul al-fiqh, so that you can apply this. And you have to have a bit of vast knowledge of the sunnah as a whole, so that you don't take something that has been generalized or had been specific in another hadith. So if Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that do not eat the dead meat, and then you are stranded and you say, I cannot eat dead meat, he said, no, Allah said and told you that if you are in a distress, in a necessity, it becomes mandatory for you to eat from it so that you would not die. So in essence, you as a Muslim, you're supposed to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. However, not everyone is equipped, not everyone is capable of understanding the Quran and Sunnah by themselves. So those who are unable, they must follow a school of thought. They must follow a scholar that they trust, not only his knowledge, but also his moral conduct, his commitment, his piety, and being righteous. Because there are so many with PhDs and with lots of knowledge, but they don't fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Or they have bad character. They slander, they talk foul language, they maybe deal in riba, so they're not walking the talk. No, you should not follow those. Now, when we come to someone who's layman, he says, I have no idea of which is right and which is wrong, we tell him, stick to your madhab. So if you're a devoted Hanafi, remain to be devoted Hanafi until you are able to differentiate. As for the time of Asr, this is a very big problem, because we know that the Hanafi madhab, they postpone and delay Asr by approximately half an hour to 40 minutes from the actual time. And they have evidences of their own which are contradicted by other evidences from the Sunnah. And yet they abide by it. And this is not a problem when it comes to Asr, because Asr's time can be a little bit flexible in the sense that you can pray it in the beginning of the time, in the middle of the time, just before the end of the time of Asr. The problem is that when you decide that the appropriate time for Asr is in the middle of the time, and someone who did not pray Dhuhr knows that the end of the Dhuhr prayer is the beginning of Asr prayer. This means that this person has prayed Dhuhr not in its time. He prayed it in the beginning of the time, the actual time of Asr, which means that his prayer is invalid. So this is a very dangerous issue that one should pay attention to, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best.